Who are the Albanians, and where did they come from? Today, it is still a mystery and matter of controversy. A popular belief is that they descend from the Illyrians, an ancient people of the Western Balkans, but this is wrong. First, the Illyrians spoke a Kentum language of the Indo-European family, akin to Celtic and Latin, while Albanian is a Satem language like Slavic and Armenian. Secondly, the Illyrians were a seafaring people notorious for being pirates. The Albanian language doesn't have a native maritime vocabulary. Instead, it's rich in words relating to mountainous terrain. The Illyrian toponyms preserved are not able to be deciphered by Albanian. The nucleus of the Illyrian people does not even correspond to the Albanian state. The Illyrians mainly dwelled along the coast of modern-day Croatia, while most of Albania was a part of the Greek state Epirus in antiquity. Lastly, and most importantly, there is no historical continuity. The Illyrians are last mentioned in written sources in 200 AD, and are considered fully assimilated into the Roman identity by 300 AD, the time of Emperor Constantine, himself a descendant of Illyrians, but his only language was Latin, and he considered himself a Roman. The first mention of the Albanians as a separate people is in a Bulgarian document in 1018, where they are mentioned in a list of Christian peoples. But when were the Albanians recorded to be baptized? In the Dark Ages, the Christian church was the sole literate institution, and large part of their role was baptizing various groups, and baptisms were always documented. But neither the Albanians nor the Illyrians or any other native Balkan people were documented as being baptized, except one. The Bessoi were a mountainous Thracian tribe dwelling in the Rhodope Mountains of modern-day Bulgaria. Their language was Satem, like modern Albanian. The word Bessoi itself is found in the Albanian language, meaning to believe, rooted in the word Bessa, meaning faith or oath, a core element of modern Albanian culture. This matches up with the Bessoi being described by Herodotus as a priest class. The ancient Greek historian Strabo describes the Bessoi as being the fiercest of Thracian tribes, addicted to plunder. They are documented as being Christianized in 380 AD by Nicetas, the bishop of Dacia. In 570 AD, pilgrim Antoninus Placentius records that in Mount Sinai there is a monastery where the monks speak Greek, Latin, and Bessan. Since the Bessoi were located on the border of the Witczak line, this explains why the Albanian language has more influence from Latin than Greek, although it's an Eastern Satem language. The location of the Bessoi also highlights the reason that Albanian and Bulgarian languages form a Balkan linguistic union, sharing unique grammatical similarities. It can be safely assumed that the Bessoi survived through the 7th century, up to the Slavic migrations into the Balkans. The Bulgars begin incursions into Thrace in 809 and conquer the western Thrace province of the Byzantine Empire as well as the Bessoi in 847 AD. The Bulgars under Khan Pressian continue conquering territories west to the Adriatic Sea, finally capturing a pocket of Byzantine coastline near the modern-day city of Fier. To protect this stretch of land, it's theorized Pressian resettled the Bessoi along the Shkumbin River, centered around the Roman city Albanon, modern-day Elbasan in 850 AD, as border guards of the Bulgarian Empire. Due to becoming the majority population in this area, the Bessoi also start being called Albanoi, Arbanas, or Albanians, referring to the Roman city Albanon, around which they settled. The Bessoi settled on the Shkumbin River eventually begin to migrate with the expansion of the Bulgarian Empire. Bessoi tribes splitting, going north of the Shkumbin River, settling amongst the Serbs, and going south, settling amongst the Greeks. It is at this time the Bessoi people split into two separate groups, the Ghegs and the Tosks, who speak two distinct dialects of the same language, but often warring with each other. Their rivalry shows in the etymology of their names, Gheg being what the Tosks called them, an onomatopoeia for how gibberish sounds like, being that their dialect was difficult to understand, while the Ghegs called their rivals Tosks, a borrowing from vulgar Latin tosco, meaning someone uncouth or rude. The Bulgarian Empire goes to war with the Byzantines again in the year 1001 AD, losing many battles, and a few years later the Bessoi fall under the rule of the Byzantines. Under the Byzantines, the Bessoi, known by the Byzantines as the Arvanitai, are mentioned in 1043 as subjects of the Duke of Durrës, and is taking part in a revolt against Constantinople, showing their anti-Byzantine and pro-Bulgarian stance. In 1081, the Normans from southern Italy attack the Byzantine Empire in Durrës. The Bessoi take the side of the Latin Normans against the Greek Byzantines, resulting in a Norman victory. In 1085, the Byzantines conquer back the territory. To prevent further uprisings, the Byzantines give the Bessoi autonomy in 1190, creating the Principality of Arbanon, centered around the Shqumban River and the city of Albanon. As an autonomous province of the Byzantine Empire, the principality had its own leadership, but had to pay taxes and grant soldiers to the Byzantines. The leader Progon moves from Albanon north to Kruja, which he makes the capital of the vassal state. He is succeeded by his sons Ginus and Dimitri, ruling over a multi-ethnic population of Bessoi, Serbs, and Greeks. The province is short-lived and is abolished in 1255 by the Byzantine Empire. The Normans return and attack the Byzantines in this area 17 years later, conquering the region and setting up a vassal state called the Kingdom of Albania, from where they would launch attacks on the Byzantines. Ruled by the Norman king, Charles of Anjou, the Kingdom of Albania continued fighting the Byzantines, sieging the city Berat in 1280, but the Byzantines get the upper hand and conquer the vassal state of Albania by 1288. After reconquest, two Bessoi families grow in power, the Thopia, Ghegs in the north, and the Muzaka, Tosks in the south. At this time, the Bessoi call themselves Arbor, or Arboresh in their language, based on the old principality Arbanon. In 1341, the Serbian Tsar Dušan conquers all of Albania and Macedonia. Under the Serbian Empire, Tanusia Thopia, a Bessoi nobleman, recognizes Serbian rule and becomes a minor lord under the Serbs. His son Karl takes over in 1355, ruling territory from Kruja to the Shqumban River. After the fall of the Serbian Empire in 1371, Karl Topia conquers Serbian territory north of Kruja, reaching Skadar, going to war with the Serbian Balšić dynasty, who ruled the Skadar Lake region. In battle, Karl Topia suffers many losses against the Serbs, and the Serb prince Balša II conquers Topia's lands all the way to Durrës, naming himself Duke of Durrës. Karl Topia, in panic, calls on the Turks for assistance in return for vassaldom. Murat I sends 40,000 Turks, and they defeat the Serbs, reconquering the lands as a Turkish vassal. In 1386, Karl betrays the Turks and switches his alliance to the Venetians. He dies soon after, and his lands go to the Venetian Empire. In the next 20 years, the rest of Albania is conquered by the expanding Ottoman Empire, and an Orthodox Serb from Albania, George Kastriot, also known as Skanderbeg, starts a rebellion against the Ottomans, quickly becoming a hero for all people in Albania and the Balkans. Skanderbeg fights the Ottomans and Muslim Albanians for 25 years, successfully defeating the Turks and keeping parts of Albania Orthodox Christian until Skanderbeg's death in 1468, when shortly after, all of Albania is completely conquered. Most of the Bessoi, or Iberians as they were known, quickly converted to Islam and achieved a privileged status in the Ottoman Empire, ruling over the native Greeks, Serbs, and others, assimilating many. As the most loyal subjects of the empire, the Turks send the Iberians to other parts of the Balkans to colonize and rule over the rebellious Christians. Due to the Bessoi largely not being in the historical region of Albania any longer, they abandon the name Arbor and take on the name Shqiptar, which comes from the word in their language Shqipoj, meaning to speak clearly, referring to people who speak their language. The term Shqiptar is first documented in 1555 in the oldest Albanian book, Meshari, and is the term used today to refer to the nation and the language of the modern Albanian people, a diverse mix of Thracians and assimilated Serbs, Greeks, and Anatolian peoples.